We have a special guest joining us for our Blue Beetle review.
I'm shocked.
Hey-o,
ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, Steve?
Well,
I mean, it is amazing to me that you actually watched the movie and you watched it the week it came out, essentially, and I'm very proud of you for that.
And it was a DC movie.
Right, but you know what, though? We were talking about it so much behind the scenes, I feel like Steve was like, oh, yeah. Okay, I got to watch this.
But Steve traditionally is the biggest DC movie hater out of everybody in our group.
It's a fact.
All right, I'll give it to him. He's the Kenny Austin of DC in our group. But now, so we're gonna start with you, Steve, because you're joining us for the first time in a while. I want to know
don't put me on
Beetle. No, I'm zooming in on your face, and I want to know what your quick ranking, whatever you want to call it, 1 out of 10, score out of 10. What's your score for Blue Beetle?
Oh, we're starting off with ratings.
We're starting off with the ratings.
9.
Ooh, okay. I like the 9. Give me a quick reason why. What's the reason why you gave it a 9?
Just it was excellent as a whole. Like CG was beautiful, acting was on point. It was a 9.
I don't know why his microphone sounds like he's talking fast forward again. But Carmine, I'm jumping to you now.
You're talking used it a while again. Yeah, you sound like you're talking underwater again.
The sound is definitely catching up to your mic. I can tell. I don't know why. Everything looks like it's operating pretty nicely right now, but for some reason you go like this, and then all of a sudden it's boom. Here comes all the words. Carmine, what do you think? What's your rating?
So I came in a little lower than you guys. I'm sitting in an 8.4 on this.
Not that much lower.
It's not that much lower, but the thing is that like overall, it was entertaining as fuck. It looked super clean, the best CGI we've seen in the DC movie yet. But there was problems with the story for me, and
we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. But like overall, like acting wise, amazing. CG amazing. Like it hit those those action points you wanted it to hit. But there were some story problems for me that dropped it down a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to jump to my my rating here, and I'm going to say when I left the theater, I absolutely loved the movie. I had some minor gripes, and I probably would have dropped it down to like an 8.5. But I've had time to sit with it. I've had time to think about it. I've talked to you guys a little bit behind the scenes, and I would probably stick with Steve also and give it a 9 out of 10. That's how freaking much I just love this movie. I thought it was, out of all the DCEU movies, right? Every DC movie we've gotten under the shared universe, it was the funniest, the most well-paced. It looked the best visually. It had a phenomenal soundtrack. The casting was great. I was just into all of it. So 2 9s and an 8.4. Now we get into some of the nitty gritty here. So first thing,
and I don't. Just to be clear, I don't disagree with anything you just said either. Like that's the crazy part is that everything you guys just said is 100% accurate about this movie.
Let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of this. So we have Xolo Maridueña. I feel like I said it right. I probably fucked it up, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm just gonna call him Miguel the whole time.
You can just call him Miguel. I'm pretty sure that's what he goes by. He's our Blue Beetle, and I just thought he knocked it out of the park. I did think that in the very beginning of the movie, the first say like 10 minutes or so, it's a little cheesy. The dialogue's a little kind of like soap opera-y, very Cobra Kai. But
it was real slow.
Yeah, 100%. And once he like starts to get into his rhythm though, and things start to pick up, there was no dropping the ball. He absolutely killed it. And I think he can headline a whole trilogy. No problem.
Yeah, he's the perfect Jaime Reyes. Like, if you're gonna do the Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle, he is the perfect Jaime Reyes.
100%. What about Steve? What did you think about him?
I thought he did excellent. I don't know who he is, but I thought he killed it, crushed it.
You never seen Cobra Kai?
I watched the first season.
It's Miguel, bro.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Valley champion. He's the All Valley champion.
You put some respect don't remember it. Damn it. Don't remember it. You expect me to remember it.
Well, I will say that he stepped away for a second. It looks like I think I think Lily's giving him problems going to sleep.
Uh,
But I will say that he was excellent. Again, like there's no other person I think that looking back at this that I think could have handled this role as well as he did, and to be bolstered into like the start of this new DCEU as like their first hero, because James Gunn has said that like this movie is part of his universe. I think he did an excellent job
as part of his universe.
I
don't
mean,
think
yeah, but I'm saying,
like, I don't think he's going to change some of the story. You know what I mean? I'm sure he'll just keep it like intact.
No. I was saying
but it's going to be like Incredible
how,
Hulk, where like this movie is a part of it, but they're really never going to reference it anymore. They're just going to take the character.
I mean, they may go back to referencing it though. Like if it does well, you know what I'm saying?
I
like,
really hope this movie really picks up steam.
I
when it gets
mean,
Max. It sucks that it's not performing well in theaters. It's so good.
I sent you a video of the theater last night.
Yeah, Steve. He wanted me to call him to show me how empty the theater was. That's how bad it was. And now let me ask you this. So in the video,
no one
showed up even
and
afterwards.
my girl. No,
That's
it was just two of us.
It's crazy because this is finally. But you know what though? This is the problem with when you come out with shitty movies, right? You've basically just tanked our excitement for DC at this point. Then we had Shazam: Fury of the Gods, garbage. Wonder Woman '84, garbage. Flash was just the lowest of the low. You freaking canceled Batgirl. You know, I don't blame people who don't keep up with everything like we all do for being like, I'm going to skip this one. Like my uncle was not going to see it. My uncle loves DC. He wasn't going to see it until I gave him this detailed review, and he was
it's
like,
ironic.
All right, maybe I'll go see it.
It's ironic as shit as I'm the biggest DC hater, and I was the only one in the theater.
Right?
Yeah,
that's it's just
part of the problem too, though, is and Blue Beetle is not a marquee name.
Right.
As far as DC Comics is concerned either. Like he's not a huge character. He's had a
really
better run.
Though. It's not even just that though. Like
I'm just saying, like
barely there. They couldn't now everyone's on strike, so they couldn't even talk about it. You couldn't build up hype for it, you know?
I mean, the Jaime Reyes version of the Blue Beetle, you know, he's a relatively new version of him too. Like he's only been around since right before the New 52 when they did like the incursion things and the Final Crisis and all that stuff. So you know, it's a newer version of a character, of a legacy character.
Right.
You know, and not a lot of people even know who he is. So
yeah, I feel like the Injustice games are popular enough that more people know of the character just from those games.
Yeah,
really knowing his story and knowing like kind of his.
We're talking about.
You don't get that from the game.
Like, listen, I'm talking about the average fan that's like not a gamer or not like they just want to see a superhero movie.
Right.
Like, they're like, who the fuck is Blue Beetle? I don't give a shit about that guy. But can we just call Batman there? They're gonna be like, I know who Batman is. I'm gonna go see Batman. You know. I
mean, that's definitely true. But can we just talk real quick about how good the suit looks?
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, and we talked about this. This movie cost, I think it was a little over $100 million to make. So to put it in perspective, the Flash was $220 million. You know, Endgame was like 300 and something million. Like these movies are just getting, or the budgets are just super inflated. This one cost $100 million to make. Because of that, this suit is a practical suit. There's obviously some CG enhancements, but he really wore this suit on set. You know, it had some lights. The eyes glowed, the whole nine. And there's a reason why it looks so good on screen. Like, and going back to the original Iron Man, remember he used to have, it was like football pads was his Iron Man suit. And then they just kind of made it fancy with CGI. There's a reason why you have to build the suit. It just looks good. It translates well. The actors can move and react to it. Like, I thought it looked amazing, the suit, the whole time too. There was never a moment where I thought it looked bad.
Except there was never a moment where
the scene where it's floating in the ether, which we'll go over. We'll talk about that later. Steve was yelling at me.
We discussed this last night at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, the suit still looked good though.
It looked good. It just, you know, everything else, I guess it was that was like, for me, that was the only scene that was cartoonish looking. You know what I mean? Otherwise,
I mean, they could have gotten rid of that whole scene. Like, honestly, there's a lot of parts of this movie where I feel like the director watched all of Marvel and was like, let's put this in there. Let's put that in there. You know what would be cool?
I don't really disagree.
You know what's really baller scene in Black Panther is when he sees his dad, and his dad gives him the courage to go back and.
So I will say, Steve's getting mad. I could tell because we were arguing about this earlier today. But I will say, or last night, didn't hate. So the scene we're referencing is basically the whole time Jamie Reyes needs to kind of accept the Scarab, and the Scarab needs to also accept him. They need to merge and work together and blah blah blah. There's a scene where Jaime is I guess in purgatory. He sees his dad who's about to like go into the afterlife, and his dad says, no, it's not your time. It was basically Rocket Raccoon scene with the other animals, and he goes, go and get your suit, do your thing. And then that part I didn't hate. What I didn't like, and what I felt like didn't look kind of cheesy, was the whole like floating in space and having to gingerly touch the fingertips of the Blue Beetle outfit or whatever. I was like, that was kind of silly. Like, we get it. He accepts the Blue Beetle now. Like, I didn't need to see that part. Like, that was kind of silly to me. But Steve, I know you have your own take.
I mean,
on this,
I told you last night on it. It was just the creation of Adam, but for them, it was the creation of the Blue Beetle.
I know, but like, did it have to be so? I don't know.
I mean,
like that. I guess
it
does fit the family
culture.
Say,
so
yeah.
Why not?
I mean, it was a little bit heavy-handed.
Guardians just did the same scene, so
not really, because in Guardians, Lila's like, Adam. No, it's not your time, and then he just
they did it with Adam. They did it with Adam and Star Wars.
They did the creation of Adam,
and you know what? We didn't like that scene either. I thought that was stupid. I thought Peter should have died in space.
I argued with you on that one too.
I just thought it was, even in that one in particular, not to go to Marvel, but like the fact that he's floating to save Peter slowly and he just touches his finger, and I'm like, dude, grab him and bring him into the ship. Why'd you have to show off for? It was another.
We're gonna end up slipping back into Marvel a lot because this we borrowed a lot from Marvel.
I agree, it did.
So the movie starts off with we get our main character Jaime Reyes. He comes back from college. I don't know that I missed it if they did say it, but I don't know that they ever showed what college he came back from. I don't know if that's relevant to the character really.
I don't think it matters.
They only mentioned that he was pre-law, I guess, right? So he wants to be a lawyer. He comes back from college. He's the first one in his family to go to college, and he's all excited about returning to his town. And he finds out that his dad lost his job. They basically are got to move out of the house, and everything just went to shit. So he thinks, I got a degree, I'm going to get a job, I'll take care of it. And he ends up working as basically a busboy for the rich person who's basically kicking his parents out of the town.
Brings me to one of my biggest problems in this movie, and it's the villain.
So go for it.
The villain industry being Cord Industries is just such a miss. It's not who it should be. Like, at no point is Cord Industries like that. Like, it's just there's so many other evil corporations you could have picked from in DC mythos, right? And then had them be the evil industry, but they went with Cord for whatever fucking reason. And it's just because it links to Blue Beetle, and it seemed lazy to me. It just seemed like a cop out, almost like, we're just going to make it Cord Industries. This way he's got a reason for finding the Scarab, right?
But is it because, like, are you, because like James Gunn clearly has plans, and I feel like the fact that they stuck with Cord Industries means that maybe he plans to use that company in future movies.
I mean, the company should be used in future movies, but not as the evil corporation. That's my point. It's like making them the evil corporation makes no sense.
Well, what if it's an origin story for the good, quote unquote, the good Cord Industries? You know what I mean? I mean, movies where they're bad.
Didn't you say that this isn't really going to be a part of the new DC timeline? So what's it matter?
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, again, the character Blue Beetle and probably his family will carry over, but I don't know how much of the story will carry over.
Let's talk about the character then. So, Jaime raises Blue Beetle. Jaime finds a Scarab. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Scarab. Do you guys know the history of the Scarab? Like, this is where like my common knowledge kind of.
I mean, we don't know it as much as you do. I like the character. I'm aware that how the Scarab works, but I don't know like the lore.
So, I don't know shit.
All right, so let me explain it. There's an alien race called the Reach. Okay, thousands of years ago, they get into a war with the Green Lanterns, because they were basically taking over planets. They would send these Scarabs out to planets. It would take over one person, completely take them over, and then that Blue Beetle or that Beetle would end up taking out the entire planet. It's a world-ending device. They say it in the movie.
Yeah, and we saw that in the beginning, right? We saw all the different color scarabs go scatter.
Yeah, there's different. There's blue scarabs. There's black scarabs. There's yellow scarabs.
So, side note, is this like the thing for DC? There's the green, red, yellow, and orange lanterns.
Yeah,
green, red, yellow, blue scarabs. There's red.
The only difference is that
Superman or red sun, red kryptonite, whatever. Like,
well,
they can't get more creative than that. It's just it's the Mortal Kombat syndrome. They're just like, oh, that was cool. Let's change the color and call it something else. Like,
yeah, basically. But the thing about it is that the Blue Beetle loses connection to, like, the Reach breaks the treaty. So the Green Lanterns and the Reach have a treaty, and they're no longer allowed to take over planets. They still sent the Blue Beetle to Earth.
I don't know what Steve's doing.
Because they started the treaty.
Let me
bear with me.
My ADD kicked in real quick. I have to have this answer. Does your wall say ass? What the fuck's the second word?
Which wall?
No, it says ASST.
That's a horrible T. That's a horrible T.
Anyway,
sorry. I've been staring at it for 5 minutes.
So now
we got to zoom in so everyone else can see what you're talking about.
So they have a treaty. The Blue
T.
Beetle break the treaty. They send a scarab to Earth. The scarab that goes to Earth winds up not being connected to the Reach anymore, which is why it doesn't immediately take over Jaime and turn him into the world machine, the world destroying machine. What happens is that there's a constant conflict between Jaime and the scarab knows that he's supposed to like turn Jaime like evil, but can't take full control yet because he's not connected to the Reach. So there's a constant struggle between Jaime and the scarab about good versus evil. The entire dichotomy about what makes Blue Beetle's character, this version of Blue Beetle's character, so interesting is this back and forth between him and the scarab, and it's the one thing they got completely wrong in this movie.
So I get that, but I would argue that if they want to make him a hero, I could see Hollywood studios, James Gunn, whoever, being like, well, we don't want them to kill anybody, so we're just going to have them agree at some point. It still doesn't mean they can't argue over how violent they actually get and how like brutal they are. You know what I mean? Like they can still have that argument in future movies.
I mean, I think they end that at the end.
Yeah, that's the problem.
When she stops them, she's like, "We're not killers."
Exactly, and that's my biggest problem with the movie.
He could pull a Batman and go breaking bones and putting people in the hospital, and there could be an argument of like, we don't need to be. Let's just arrest them. We don't need to be that violent.
I mean, my point is, the scarab would have never stopped him.
Well, he would have killed so many people with those energy blasts to begin with when he was trying to be non-lethal.
Yeah, you see it. You see it through the whole beginning of the movie where he gets the powers, where he's like, "No, we're not killing," and the scarab's like, "Kill, murder." And
I mean, it fit the theme of the movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate how it happened in the movie, to be honest. But
I couldn't stand it.
You know, I wonder if that's a thing that they'll maybe change or retcon for future movies. Maybe the scarab will want to take out some threats, and he'll have to explain it that they're not going to do it. I didn't hate that so much, but I do think that you just described basically the plot of Dragon Ball, and maybe they wanted to stay away from that.
They kill people all the time in Dragon Ball.
No, specifically, sending the Scarab to Earth to take over, but then the Scarab doesn't take over, and now is the hero of Earth. Like, that's basically Goku. They sent Goku to take over, and then he grew up with.
No, but the point is,
Goku was sent.
Goku was sent to take over
another
Earth.
time.
Shut up. Can we not go down this rabbit hole right now, please?
You're trying to tell me I'm wrong?
Just continue.
So what about the family?
But the thing about
the family.
Blue Beetle never becomes the hero of Earth. That's the whole point. Is that
he's not the hero of Earth? He's the hero.
What ends up happening actually is
he's Spider-Man, basically.
The Black Beetle and the Yellow Beetles invade Earth, and they try and reconnect the Blue Beetle to the Reach, and he takes over Jaime.
This conversation is just ruining the movie for me because now all I can think about is Power Rangers. So you're telling me the Blue Ranger? You're telling me the Blue Rangers have to fight the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger at some point?
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
basically.
Honestly, this is a better Power Ranger movie than the actual Power Rangers we got. So.
Look, this is an excellent Marvel movie.
So it was an excellent Marvel movie.
Speaking of some of the other characters, one thing that stood out to me is George Lopez. I'm not particularly a fan of his. I don't think he's that funny. I never really thought he was that funny, but he had me laughing out loud a few times in this movie. the whole family had moments, you know what I mean? But he really stole the show for me, much better than I expected.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Susan Sarandon
Yeah, go ahead.
and how she's 76?
What did she do in the movie that was that impressive?
She sat in a helicopter the entire time.
No, she doesn't look 76.
I agree with that.
76.
She does not look 76. I'll give you that for sure. See, now I thought that she was okay. Like, considering that it was really kind of a one-note villain, you know, she's just mean. You know, she played it well. It was similar to like Hella, where it was like it was entertaining to see her just be bad. You know what I mean?
No, stop. First off,
keep going. Continue.
Hella was one of the absolute best villains that ate up scenery left and right that we've had in Marvel.
Right.
Susan Sarandon was barely a villain in this movie.
Well,
she was barely there.
Again, they made the mistake though of giving someone else the actual villain role and then being like she's just the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, OMAC, which was a waste of OMAC also. Because I don't know how you have OMAC in this movie and you don't have Brother Eye and you don't have Cadmus.
So I don't know. I don't know the lore like that. So
exactly, I agree. 1000%.
If Cadmus was the evil character, if Cadmus was the evil industry that was taking over, this whole movie would have made way more sense to me. But instead, they made it Cord Industries, and they could have had Cord Industries and made Cadmus be the guys like in the background that were really running Cord Industries. But they were too lazy to even do that. Like I had a lot of issues. My rating might go down by the end of this conversation.
That's why we talk about this stuff. That's why I wanted the ratings first. I wanted to see if it changes at the end. I actually liked the way they had. What was his name again? The guy with the red suit, the red Beetle. What's
OMAC.
The character OMAC. I actually liked the way they ended it. So to me, when he got his own suit, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit because I was like, of course, like the bad guy, it's it's Ironmonger all over again. Like it doesn't always need to be an exact mirror of the hero. But so then they had that little fight, which was cool. It was done well. But the fact that it wasn't like a knockout brawl or whatever, that he ended up kind of the Scarab, I guess, reminded him of what Susan Sarandon's character did to him. I thought that was a much better way of ending it versus just having them fight and Blue Beetle knocking him out and then they lock him away somewhere. Like Abomination.
So
obviously, Carmine didn't like that answer.
Yeah, you could tell by the way
I
he's
couldn't
responding.
Stand any of it, bro. OMAC is supposed to be like DC's version of Ultron.
Okay, I didn't know
it's a system of robots. Like it's not just one robot, right? And they were building the system of robots, but it's all controlled by a satellite called Brother Eye that was stolen from Batman.
So you wanted an entire army of robots controlled by one thing that could be destroyed so that they could all die?
I wanted OMAC to not be the villain.
So basically you wanted the same plot of every like superhero movie for the last 15 years?
I would have rather got rid of the entire, if you had gotten rid of the entire industry, evil industry thing. Jaime finds the Scarab, doesn't understand the Scarab tries to take him over, the Black Beetle comes to Earth, he has to defeat the Black Beetle.
I mean, that I feel like could have been a little bit more, I don't know, succinct. I think that's how you say it. But I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the way they did it. I mean, again, no, I didn't know the lore, so I don't know if my opinion would change.
About not knowing the lore. Every time I heard his name, though,
I mean, it's the problem. Like you guys got to wholly enjoy this movie more than I did because I was in the theater going like, "What the fuck? Not this."
That's one of those things. I guess there's something to be said for not going in knowing everything about the character.
Yeah,
but then
you're 100% right.
How are you going to complain though when you say it's a throwaway movie?
I didn't say it was a throwaway movie.
Well, I said that the movie's not going to carry over.
It was a throwaway movie.
I thought you agreed with Chris.
No. I think James Gunn's going to make more of these, to be honest with you.
Well, he's going to keep Blue Beetle for sure. He's already said that. It's just we don't know if like the Blue Beetle 2, let's say they do a sequel, is going to be a continuation of this story, or if it's just going to be like, Blue Beetle reborn.
I mean, it's
a whole new thing.
It's going to be a continuation because of that little after credit scene.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You know how many after credit scenes have been in movies that they never pay off on? What's the name from Doctor Strange 1? Mordo, whatever, was going to kill all the wizards, and here we are, however many years later, and we got Multiverse of Madness instead. We got a whole.
It might happen in 10 more years.
He hasn't killed a single wizard.
Right. He hasn't killed one wizard. He knocked out Doctor Strange.
We don't know what's going on in those other universes and shit.
But we do, because the Mordor we saw was from a different universe.
That was one.
Yeah. And well, according to Marvel, the multiverse is only one other universe, apparently. So that's what it seems like anyway. But you know what I'm saying? Like this, so like, just because they have the end of the credit scene, I'm missing the movie did terrible in theaters, and this is a business in the end. So if it doesn't do well on HBO Max,
Yeah, but I think
then the studios are not going to make another one. I could see James Gunn using Blue Beetle as a secondary character in another one of his movies, maybe. But doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a Blue Beetle too. I hope
think
we
this
do.
movie's going to do really well when it hits Max.
I think so
and
too, because it's really a good movie.
No, it is. It is. It's an entertaining movie, and I think people are going to really start to love it. I think James Gunn being in charge will be able to be like, "Hey, we're making Blue Beetle too." Like, and don't worry about it, guys. I
mean, he clearly has full control. I mean, you could just tell by the way he answers questions and some of the things he's saying that there's no going past him. He's the guy who makes that decision. So,
yeah.
I feel like if he says to the executive, honestly, it's all going to depend on his Superman movie. If he does his movie from the ground up, written and directed and all stuff from him, and it does well, then the studio exec's going to be like, okay, do whatever the hell you want. But if it doesn't do well, they're going to be like, I don't know.
I think this would fit in well with Green Lantern.
With Green Lantern, that makes sense. It would make sense.
Yeah,
because you have the backstory you just gave. You know, Plus, if like a black or yellow beetle, or let's go crazy, the rainbow beetle shows up. It'd be nice to have the Rainbow Lantern show up also.
Yeah, well, I mean, like at least with the different colored lanterns, they'll have different power sets.
Now, is it racist to say that they're different colored lanterns?
Well,
I don't know.
Are we gonna have? Do you ever see that Key and Peele?
I'm out. Bye.
You ever see that Key and Peele skit where it's like all the Power Ranger guys, and they're like, "All right, green, Black Falcon," and he's like, "Are you talking to me? Because I'm in a Green Falcon." Have you ever seen that skit?
Yeah.
You never saw that, Steve? I'll send it to you.
No.
He's like, "There's gonna be some confusion because you're gonna be talking to me, and I'm not in a Black Falcon." And they're like, "Watch the attitude, Black Falcon." And he's like, "There's no attitude. I don't like the way you're saying Black Falcon. I'm a Green Falcon."
I saw the one where they were being sold and got mad.
That was great too. That was great also. But anyway,
can we talk about Nana?
I was just gonna actually bring her up too. Did you like her using the Gatling gun at the end, or did you think that was a little one step too far into the cheesy factor?
It was a bit cheesy.
It was cheesy.
It was a bit cheesy,
but
like in a good way.
It kind of like bookended the movie, right? Like the first beginning of the movie was like a little cheesy, a little slow, and then she comes out with her little moment, and I'm like, you know what? That's kind of like calling back to the cheese from the first 5 minutes. So I was okay.
Like it was cheesy in a good way. Like a lot of the family stuff is cheesy, right? Like it's over the top. Like hey, Dios mío, mijo.
It did remind me of my wife and her family, though. I mean, she's not Mexican. Not all Spanish people are the same. But she's Cuban, and there's a lot of similarities with like the switching from Spanish to English, the Vicks Vapor Rub that made me laugh. Just silly moments like that reminded me of her family and their dynamic. I do think cutting up, like the pacing was good, and each action scene I thought went on for just as long as it needed to, and really looked really good. Was super intense. One thing I really loved though, and this is something that a lot of the DC movies have been missing, is like the weight of everything. When he kicked the Omak, when Omak was like fucking him up in the first fight, like it just felt heavy. It felt like he was getting hit hard. It felt like he was getting thrown the right way. Like nothing seemed floaty, you know what I mean? Which is an issue that they always seem to have. Like he didn't do some silly run like Ezra Miller. I really thought the action scenes were done so well, and the whole scene where he finally kind of accepts the Scarab and then has his little hallway moment, because that's like the new thing now. Every hero's got to have their hallway fight. Was the music was good. I mean, Steve, I know you mentioned it to me too. The Cypress Hill song was a good choice.
Great choice.
Great
Absolutely amazing choice.
Let me ask you this question: the sister, when she had that little gauntlet, is that a better interpretation of Kamala Khan's powers than what we got in the Kamala Khan show?
I don't think so. Think so.
Did you even watch the Kamala Miss Marvel?
No.
Okay. So
no, I didn't.
You can't answer that question. I thought that was all right, but they didn't use it enough. I feel like that, hold on, before I even get to that, let's talk about the Beetle ship or whatever they call it. Like, how in the world did they make this thing feel like it's an actually good ship to have? The moment they showed it, it reminded me of Watchmen, right? The owl, like whatever his ship was.
It all comes
better.
from
This is better.
It all comes from that same era of like, hero, right? Of like the
Right,
owl
right.
ship, the
Everything's got to
Watchman.
like look and have that same theme.
Yeah, that like 50s era hero aesthetic. You know, I don't know if you guys know the original Blue Beetle. The first book that he showed up in was actually Mystery Men,
Wasn't
which
that
was
like
turned
the
into a
1930s or
movie.
some shit like that? Wasn't that like an old?
Yeah, which was it was a Charleston comic, and it was turned into a movie starring Ben Stiller.
Oh, that movie
in the 90s with like
Yeah,
Kel
yeah.
and
Yes,
I
with
remember.
the Sphincter
yes,
and
with
and
the
Dane Cook
Sphincter.
as Waffle Man.
Dane Cook is Waffle Man, the Waffler. Yes,
The Waffler, yeah.
yes, yeah. That movie was based on Mystery Men, the old Charleston comic, which Blue Beetle first appeared in.
And Blue Beetle really would fit that cast of characters 100%.
The original one would, because he was just a guy in a blue suit that had like a ray gun.
So that was an interesting take. So I didn't know that about the comic books. It was interesting to see that the original Blue Beetle in the movieverse, and if whatever they carry over, was never chosen by the Scarab. So he basically just used the energy it gave to build his own stuff, like in his own Iron suit.
The Ted Cord cool. Blue Beetle. Yeah. No, I like that, because I mean that really was the version of Blue Beetle that Ted Cord was. That was close. That was really what it was. He just had a bunch of high tech stuff. Like the original Blue Beetle had like ray guns. Then Ted Cord built the whole built the Beetle ship, and then and all these other weird Beetle-esque things until you get to the Scarab actually selecting Jaime.
I do think we need to these movies. James Gunn needs to address the fact that everyone's got a superhero base in the basement of their house. And like nobody seems to find out, like they're not drawing so much power, or there's no architect out there that just knows what happened. Nolan kind of answered that in his movies for Batman. It's like we need to start addressing that because it's getting a little ridiculous. When they go downstairs and it's basically another mansion just underground. I'm like, somebody has to know this. Somebody has to
build
know
this by yourself.
The IRS has to be like, you're drawing in so much power. Like somebody has to be like, it's not adding up. Explain this to me, damn it.
But yeah, man, like I did appreciate them throwing in a little bit of the Blue Beetle lore into the movie to try and explain some things away, which was nice because a legacy character like that doesn't usually, like, we've never seen the Flash talk about Jay Garrett,
right?
Except
for the show, except for the much better version of the Flash that we got.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the movies though. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to see him in some weird Chrono Bowl thing.
I wonder. So, I mean, it's just, again, it sucks that the movie is not performing well, and I hope that James Gunn does keep it because I would like to see a continuation of the story. I was very much interested in where it goes from here, and seeing that little teaser, like Steve said at the end, that Ted Cord is alive. That's a nice little thread for the next movie. Yeah, so I hope they keep it. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I agree. I kind of agree with you. I feel like when the Green Lantern movie comes out, inevitably, I could see James Gunn being like, "We're going to use Blue Beetle and just kind of bring him into that movie."
Yeah, I mean, listen. James Gunn, he understands the business. He understands how to make these type of movies. I fully see him. I mean, there's a reason he said that this movie is technically going to be a part of the DCU. This is the first movie in the DCU.
Yeah.
Right. So I think he wants to make sequels of it. I think he's going to figure out how to make sequels of it and continue to use the character.
I wonder. I'm curious to know. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
As of yesterday, Blue Beetle's made $49 million in box office.
It's just such a shame.
Oh my god, bro!
It's such a shame, man. It's
30
too
million
good of a movie to make that little of a
30.4 million from U.S. and Canada, 18.6 million in other territories.
Did it go international yet, though? Like, did it open in Asian market yet?
That's worldwide. That's the worldwide
49
total. 49 million.
Yeah, I understand that it's worldwide right now, but it may not have opened in Asia.
Well, didn't Asia block it or something? Hold on.
That might have happened. If Asia blocked it, that could be a big reason why it's not making money.
Let's see, France opening night, they made 1.4 mil. Italy 575,000, Germany 343, Netherlands 301.
There's no Korea, no Japan.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish when I Googled something, Google just gave me a yes or no. Did it release in Asia? I just want a yes or no. I don't need
Indonesia.
articles.
Indonesia, it made 1.2. India, it made 687. Thailand, 666.
So it did open in Asia.
Malaysia,
Not a good sign.
579. Taiwan was 481. The Philippines was 440,000, and New Zealand has no total.
That's crazy, man. Because I don't get it. The trailers look good. I mean, again, they're on strike, right? So there's no interviews. We don't see any of the characters out there doing their thing. So maybe they couldn't drum up the marketing for it, but that sucks. I really wanted to do well.
Domestic opening was 25 million. And so I feel like that was just 5 million since domestic.
That's really
I feel like that was just the GGEN guys going to see it. We basically made all that money for them.
Like that's really bad, man. Oh, I mean, I hope.
But I don't think that's Flash. Like the Flash ruined this movie. I don't care what anyone tells me. The Flash ruined this movie. If the Flash was better, then this would have done better. But the Flash was hot garbage. So people were like, "I'm not going to waste my money anymore. I'm done. Like I'm over it."
You're probably not wrong, but I mean, there's marketing wise, like you said, there's a lot of issues. I think also, like, this was coming off right after San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah,
maybe DC should have put in a panel at Comic-Con showing this and showing some scenes or something like that.
Right. Even if you can't get the director and the writer and stuff to come and present it, do something.
Do something. Like they didn't do anything at San Diego Comic-Con, which is a big miss for them. I think timing wise, it's just a bad time for this movie to come out.
Yeah.
Right. And I think long term we're gonna see this come out on top. To be honest with you, I really hope. I'm pushing for it. Anyone
I know who's a fan of any of the actors who asks about it, whatever, I'm raving about it. I really hope it does well on HBO Max and brings in some numbers and does well on Blu-ray, and it deserves it. It was really too good of a movie for it not to do well. It's crazy.
Yeah, like listen, I had some issues with it, but overall, like this is the best DC movie we've seen in a long time.
Right. Since like the Dark Knight or the Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, Man of Steel was better in this, but like
Man of Steel was good. But if you're talking DCEU, what's good? Man of Steel, the second Suicide Squad, this movie. Aquaman I like too, so I guess I would throw it in that realm also. But like,
but this was not part of Aquaman. I think it was just as good as Aquaman. Like,
I agree.
I don't.
I still never watched Aquaman.
Dude, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing sometimes.
It's not. Fuck DC.
I love Blue Beetle though.
Aquaman, Kingdom of Darkness, or whatever the next one's called, because no one seems to care, comes out in December or November of this year, and that's the official final movie of the DCEU.
Yeah, that one's not involved in James Gunn's. See, that's what makes me think that James Gunn's going to keep using Blue Beetle, because Aquaman's coming out after that, and he's like, no, that's this shit. We're keeping Blue Beetle though.
I mean, it's heavily rumored that Jason Momoa is going to be in the DCU as a different character, not Aquaman.
Yeah, hopefully, fucking Lobo.
I agree. He just looks too.
He would make a good Lobo.
Yeah, and he's a huge Lobo fan.
And after seeing him in Fast X, I really want him as a bad guy in more and more stuff.
Yeah,
because he was just too good. In Fast.
Oh, he was excellent in Fast.
Too good.
Holy
in Fast
shit!
Yeah, he's the only good part of that movie.
Right. So it does make the idea of him being a villain or some recurring character that's not really a great guy in DCU makes sense. But I mean that does point to what you're saying, that James Gunn has been very vocal that this is a part of the DCU. So maybe he does keep the story and like that going.
Yeah, I really think that he will. I don't think we're going to get a Blue Beetle sequel for a while.
No. Well, he's working on Superman. They have there's a show coming out that they got to work on. The animated show I think they were working on after Superman.
There's a lot of shit that they're working on, and also with the writer's strike and the actor's strike, we don't know.
And Batman is another big one that James Gunn's working on. So I mean, there's who knows when we get another Blue Beetle.
I don't even think that his Batman movie's coming out for a long time.
Who's going to be the new Batman?
No, but they got to start casting and all that stuff. They haven't because of all the strikes. But like he said that basically,
I think
while he's working on Superman, the next thing.
I think they're working on
Batman.
I think they're working on Creature Commandos and the authority first before they go.
Let me ask you a question. And with him doing Batman, do you want to see a James Gunn Joker?
No, we don't need it.
Knowing
James Gunn, he's going to dig deep
away.
into the rogues gallery, and he's going to pick characters that no one ever expects. And
we're going to get fucking Condiment King. It's going to be awesome.
Honestly, if he makes the ventriloquist guy, if he makes him,
Scarface and the ventriloquist would be a fucking great villain.
Come on, bro! Like if James Gunn could do that in a way that would be so amazing. If he does that, I will go 100%. I'm gonna go see it anyway because I'm a dickhead. But
I think
I definitely want to.
Well, considering that the plot is Damian Wayne being Robin,
right?
I see Professor Pig, maybe the doll maker.
He needs to introduce Grey Ghost into the continuity of the DCU.
Grey Ghost.
Come on, man. Deep cuts. He needs to go hard.
I do not want to see Brave and the Bold, bro.
I would love. He would do
it.
And
Grey Ghost. He would be the guy that does it, but I'd rather see Deadman. I want to see a James Gunn Deadman.
That would be good too. That would be good.
But I think he's got a big toy box to play with, and James Gunn's the guy that you want playing with that toy box. So
I honestly want to see James Gunn go to do Tower of Babel for like his first Avengers movie. I mean, that's not going to happen though, because he's got to build like years and years of like basically, that's a Captain America Civil War type thing. He needs to really build years of relationships to make that happen. But I would love that. Oh, I would love that.
But he's got the helm, so why not? Why not move towards Tower of Babel?
He should. He should.
Tower of Babel, it would be a great thing to do. There's also depends too. If he decides to bring in Teen Titans, I can see him sticking Blue Beetle into Teen Titans.
True, I forgot about that. And I could see him doing Teen Titans in live action for sure.
And then going towards Jericho Project or something along those lines. You know what I mean? I think that would be a good. Did I lose you? Did I lose you with Jericho Project?
Yeah, I don't know Jericho Project.
Why are you making the Robert De Niro face?
Because I was really thinking. That's what I do when I'm thinking hard. I'm like, Jericho Project, huh?
You talking to me?
Yeah, the Titans accidentally killed Deathstroke's kid.
Fuck all that, man. Can we have Deathstroke in a freaking DC movie for once?
Yeah.
James, what's his name? Joe Manganiello would have been a great Deathstroke. At least I hope he would have been. But like this, everything you hear about the Affleck Batman movie that was supposed to happen that didn't happen, I'm like, this would have completely reshaped the DCEU. We would have actually made money and people would have loved it. And you scrapped it again. They fucking burned Batgirl and released the Flash. They didn't even bother making the Affleck Batman movie with Joe Manganiello that everyone was excited for, and instead they gave us fucking Wonder Woman 84. Like I can't understand the thought process here. They gave us Shazam: Fury of the Gods that Zachary Levi wants to argue with everybody is a good movie. I got news for you, man. It's not. It was bad. It was so stupid. Oh. It's so ridiculous.
When they got on unicorns, I almost shit myself. I was laughing so hard.
The moment the little girl was like, "Oh, these creatures are so evil. I'm gonna win them over with Skittles." I was like, "Oh, come on, man!" It's just so.
What the fuck did I miss?
In Shazam,
this is why I don't fuck with DC.
I know we're not helping. We're not convincing you. But when we do tell you to watch a DC movie, you should watch it. Certain ones you should watch.
If you've been down on Marvel movies, which you should go back and do,
right,
watch a bunch of fucking DC films, and then you'll realize how good we have it. Multiverse of Madness after Shazam: Fury of the Gods does not seem that bad.
This is why I always say, whenever we shit on the Marvel movies, I always say a bad Marvel movie is still a better movie than almost anything else we're getting. And
I mean, you're not wrong.
Case in point, in Shazam: Fury of the Gods, it's Greek gods that are releasing all these mythological creatures. We get one scene with a Cyclops. We get one scene with I think a centaur, and then we keep hearing about how unicorns. Minotaur. Everyone's so scared of unicorns. They're the most vicious creatures ever. Then they finally go, "Oh, I got an idea," and the youngest girl in the group goes, "Here's some Skittles," and they ride unicorns to go fight a dragon. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. God. It could be so good, and they just ruin it. They just ruin it with these stupid decisions. And then you got Zachary Levi in interviews afterwards that are like, "Well, it's just because of all the garbage that Hollywood releases. Shazam was good." Fuck you, dude. Like, it wasn't.
It really wasn't. Oh, I mean, listen, he was doing
They
his
don't
job.
even
He was not in the
explain.
movie.
Yeah, but they don't even explain that one witch's powers. Like, she manipulates the entire like world, moves the ground and buildings and whatever. No one ever gets hurt. Like, are there people in these buildings? Are you really like? Are you moving?
I will say the
Like-
one thing that movie did right was that they actually saved people in that movie.
True, they actually acted like heroes because in the DC
Yeah,
universe,
they
just
the
they
DC
let people
universe, they
die.
never save anybody.
Yeah.
Superman just levels 90% of Metropolis, kills the entire fucking city, and doesn't save a single soul.
And then he cries. Then he cries later on when he has to snap Zod's neck to save one person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
So at
he
least
could sleep okay after watching 50,000 people die in a building.
at least in Shazam, they saved some people, which I did appreciate.
They made an effort.
But I mean, in this movie, there really wasn't anybody to save because they just constantly were fighting a nameless, faceless
bad guys. I think that's the only other like that's the one thing too that it's the superhero movies. It's just kind of what they all deal with. But again, it's another army of just faceless dudes that are now everything's drones now, right? They're all droids or robots that they're not actually fighting humans, and it's just clearly they're just fodder for the hero to go nuts and have his.
That's got something to do with the rating system, by the way.
What did you say?
I believe that has something to do with the rating system.
Why? Because now if they kill humans, then
if they kill too many humans, then it winds up getting an R rating. I remember
they can't go
reading
commando
that
anymore. They can't have Schwarzenegger pull out the gun in the middle of the forest and just murder.
It's got to do something about like if they're robots or aliens, then it doesn't matter. That's why, like, even the first Avengers movie, they're fighting an army of faceless aliens. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I understand that, especially because in the end, all these movies are marketed to children, so it's like you don't want to see them just murdering fools constantly.
Yeah, but, that's why like the second Avengers movie.
What'd you say, Steve?
I'd like to see a rated R Avengers movie.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
The Boys. Like
touche.
I will always love The Boys just for the scenes where Homelander lands somewhere and just lasers somebody real quick and just like, okay, I'm done. Because I'm always like, that would make Superman interesting. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, Gunn's got a definitely hill to climb on this one.
Oh yeah,
Superman being the first that he's going to drop. It's.
What's crazy is that it just the amount of pressure on that Superman movie
it's going to be absurd.
Astounding. And the closer we get to it releasing, not even to the movie releasing, the closer we get to a teaser trailer coming out, I wouldn't even call it a hype level. It's more of like a cautious level. Everyone's just going to be kind of looking out of the side of their eye, like, I'm going to watch that trailer, but the one good thing I will say is that the bar is so low that if what he puts together as a teaser is like halfway decent, everyone's going to be like, this is going to be the greatest Superman movie ever. They're going to love it so much because the bar is so low.
But will people go to see it is the bigger problem that he's running up against now. Because
it's Superman. They'll go see it.
I agree with Steve. I also think, though, that depending on what happens with the strikes is going to be a big part of it because I think a big problem now too is like, why go see Blue Beetle in theaters if you're not sure it's going to be good and it's going to be out on HBO Max in 45 days. You know what I mean? Just wait a month and then you'll basically get to see it anyway at home. So I feel like I really think that with all these strikes, we're going to have some sort of plan in place where a movie's going to come out in theaters and not come out on streaming for 6 months or whatever the time frame is going to be, and it'll incentivize people to go to the theater more.
Yeah, otherwise they're trying to get minimum time frames put in, but it just doesn't seem like it's moving in any one direction. So there's a lot that's going on with the strike stuff. There's a lot that's going on with the writer's strike. Like, a lot of these movies have to be rewritten. They have to be written in the first place. They weren't finished. So he's got a very, very long uphill battle ahead of him. But if this is any indication as to where they're going, I'm excited about it because
I agree because this movie, it really, again, I said it a few times already. This movie's too good to not be performing well.
You know what it was? It was fun. something that
Yeah.
DC hasn't given us in a long time.
That's a good point. It really was, and it didn't have like, obviously it had kind of high stakes in the sense, like you said, the Scarab is a world-ending machine essentially, but it didn't feel like it. It really felt like a contained story. It was
but I didn't even want them to.
I
I didn't even want them to delve into that in the first movie anyway. That's
Right,
that's like a trilogy. Like that should be a thread that goes through the whole trilogy of it. And then when you get the third movie, now it's like, oh, the Blue Beetle is taken over. Now, like Superman and the Green Lanterns have to fight Jaime.
But they can still do that. I know. She said, I can't think of the character's name, but Cord's daughter or whatever. She said that it's a world-ending machine, but she never really dove into that. Yeah. So, like in the next movie, maybe she can get into a little bit more. But it's very possible that by the third movie, the storyline could be that the Scarab is kind of like, look, I've been working with you for a while, bonding with you mainly because I wanted to take you over. So you're mine now, bitch. And then like that could end up. It could
hopefully
I don't see that happening.
I don't either. I feel like if that was going to happen, then Carmine, to your point, in this movie, the Scarab would have been trying to kill him at the end, and Jaime would have been the one saying no. So who knows what they do? But it's always possible. Again, though, I kind of agree with the writer's strike and all the different properties they're working on. We're not going to get Blue Beetle 2 if we get that for 8 years, 7 years. Like it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. So which is going to go forward.
45.
Yeah.
He's
gonna age out. They're gonna have to recast the character, the actor. He's gonna age out of it. He's gonna be like, guys, I got grays. I'm not fresh out of college anymore. I'm sorry.
Cast Tom Holland for it.
Yeah, because he's gonna look like he's 10 forever.